Have you ever felt like motivation disappears exactly when you need it most? You wake up with big plans, but the moment you're supposed to take action, the drive vanishes. The problem isn't that you're weak or lazy. You've been programmed to chase the wrong source of motivation. The solution? It starts with something called the Locus rule. Back in 1998, a team at Columbia University, led by Professor Claudia Mueller, ran one of the most important studies ever done on how motivation actually works. They gathered a large group of fifth graders and gave them extremely challenging puzzles designed to push frustration limits. But here's where it gets interesting. No matter how well or poorly each child actually performed, every student was told they did exceptionally well. Then came the real experiment. The group was split into two. Half of the students were told they succeeded because they were smart. The other half were told they succeeded because they worked hard. That one tiny difference completely rewired how they responded next. When they were presented with more puzzles, something shocking happened. The students praised for being smart avoided difficult tasks. They gravitated toward easy puzzles that felt safe. Their motivation collapsed when things got hard. But the students praised for their effort. They leaned into challenge. They spent more time wrestling with harder puzzles. Their motivation spiked higher with difficulty, not lower. The only difference between these two groups was what they believed controlled the outcome. This is called locus of control, and it decides whether you stay motivated or spiral into frustration. Locus of control simply means where you believe control sits. An external locus of control means you believe outcomes depend on outside forces, talent, luck, circumstances, or other people. An internal locus of control means you believe outcomes depend on your actions, your choices, and your effort. The more internal your locus shifts, the stronger your motivation grows, because you stop waiting and start acting. The students praised for intelligence locked onto external factors. I'm smart, or I'm not. When difficulty rose, they feared failure, avoided challenge, and retreated. The students praised for effort believed their success was caused by actions they controlled. The harder the puzzle, the harder they worked. This single belief fueled persistence. But this isn't just a classroom experiment. You live this every day without realizing it. When life hits you with failure, what's your first reaction? Do you blame the economy, the competition, your genetics, your parents, or bad timing? That's an external locus creeping in. Every time you default to outside blame, you drain motivation. Because if everything depends on forces you can't control, why bother trying? But when you flip the script and own responsibility for outcomes, motivation becomes automatic. Effort becomes empowering, not exhausting. Action becomes the default response to challenge. Let me give you a real-world example that proves how powerful this rule becomes in life-or-death business situations. Years ago, I led a door-to-door sales team. This wasn't retail or car sales. This was the purest, most brutal sales environment you could imagine. Thousands of rejections stacked daily. Almost everyone quit within a week. Why? Because their locus of control was external. Whenever a new salesperson went an entire day without a single sale, I asked them one question. Why do you think you made 0 sales today? Their answers revealed everything. Some said, nobody was home. The weather was bad. That neighborhood was tough. People just aren't buying right now. Every single one of those people quit within days. Because their failure lived outside of them. Their motivation collapsed because they believed nothing they did mattered. But others answered differently. I didn't knock on enough doors. My opening script wasn't strong enough. I need to practice my objections. I wasn't fully present in my pitch. Those people? They lasted. They grew. They sold. Because they saw failure as feedback, and feedback lives inside your control. They adjusted, refined, and stayed motivated through rejection because they believed effort created results. The truth is simple. If you don't believe your actions matter, you'll never act consistently. This is why most people fall into motivation droughts. They think motivation is something that happens to them, like the weather. Some days they feel it. Some days they don't. But they never control it. That's wrong. Locus of control proves that motivation is created through behavior, not mood. Most people stay trapped because they never install this system of control early. They think discipline is some rare gift others are born with. But what they're missing is that discipline is simply identity reinforced by action. Your brain watches your behavior and rewires belief based on repeated outcomes. When you believe your actions cause your outcomes, you feel empowered to act again. This starts a compounding loop that creates unstoppable motivation. Not because you feel motivated in the beginning, but because action builds proof. Every time you complete something difficult, your brain says, "I made that happen." That one small statement shifts your identity. You are no longer someone who waits. You are someone who moves. Let's bring it deeper. Neurologically, your brain is built to chase patterns that create safety. When outcomes feel outside of your control, your brain conserves energy by retreating, procrastinating, and avoiding discomfort. It says, why waste effort if effort doesn't matter? But when you experience direct cause and effect, when your own behavior clearly produces a result, your brain assigns that experience to internal control. The stronger the connection between action and outcome, the faster motivation locks in. That's why many people get stuck trying to think their way into motivation. They read books. They journal. They visualize. But because they aren't taking any real action to close loops and experience results, their brain doesn't get rewired. Action rewires emotion. You cannot think your way into confidence. You act your way into confidence by taking small, controlled risks that your brain logs as proof. Let's say you struggle with waking up early. Most people think, I need to feel motivated tomorrow to wake up at 5 a.m. No, you don't. You need to wake up at 5 a.m. once. Then twice. Then 5 days in a row. With every repetition, your brain rewires its story. I wake up early because I choose to. I control this. Suddenly, motivation follows behind the behavior, not before it. This is how you permanently separate from the average person, who always waits to feel ready. Let's take it one layer deeper. The internal locus of control creates something far more powerful than motivation: emotional resilience. Because once you believe that your outcomes depend on your own behavior, failures stop feeling like personal attacks. You no longer say, I failed because I'm not talented. Instead, you say, I failed because I didn't practice enough, and I can adjust that tomorrow. This mindset creates rapid recovery speed. Instead of collapsing after setbacks, you recalibrate and keep moving forward. You no longer fear failure because you no longer believe failure controls you. You control your response. That's why internal locus of control produces entrepreneurs who survive bankruptcies, athletes who recover from losses, and creators who persist after being rejected. They aren't lucky. They simply refuse to surrender control of their outcomes to external forces. Let's apply this directly to your personal life. Think about where you currently feel stuck. Is it fitness? Finances? Focus? Ask yourself one question. Do I believe my actions can change this? If your answer includes outside forces, genetics, economy, bad luck, you've defaulted into external locus thinking, and as long as that belief lives, you will remain paralyzed. The moment you fully accept that your actions determine outcome, the paralysis breaks. Action becomes non-negotiable. Even one small decision, one workout, 1 hour of deep work, one budget review, begins shifting the story inside your brain. The loop flips. Instead of emotion driving behavior, behavior drives emotion. This is the core leverage point almost nobody teaches. Now let's sharpen it even further. The locus rule doesn't mean you control every outcome. It means you control the inputs. You don't control whether your YouTube video goes viral. You control whether you uploaded it today. You don't control whether your pitch closes the deal. You control whether you knocked on 50 doors this morning. You don't control how fast your body transforms. You control whether you hit your workout and followed your nutrition plan. When you live here, where your brain only focuses on actions inside your command center, Motivation stays stable. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster because you no longer require guarantees from the outside world to justify taking action. Action becomes your default identity. Now let's lock in your permanent system. You don't just want motivation, you want self-reinforcing momentum. That happens through deliberate repetition. Here's the exact process. Step 1. Start with micro-controlled action. Pick one behavior that you fully control. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. You don't control tomorrow's outcome, but you control showing up for 10 minutes of focused work today. Small controlled starts build the first identity shift. Step 2. Log every win. And after every action, write it down. The brain needs visible proof. Every completed task reinforces, I control this. That written record compounds identity faster than thinking or hoping ever could. Step 3. Link proof to identity. After logging, say it aloud or write it. I take action. I finish what matters. My effort changes outcomes. You're not just completing tasks. You're reprogramming belief. Step 4. Use the 3-minute trigger rule. When resistance strikes, commit to just 3 minutes. Starting activates unfinished task tension, the Zeigarnik effect. Once you begin, stopping becomes harder than continuing. Step 5. Eliminate external attribution language. Remove phrases like, I hope. I wish. It's not the right time. Replace them with, I choose. I act. I create outcomes. Language shapes cognition. Cognition shapes behavior. Step 6. Install the 24-hour recovery rule. If you slip, reset by tomorrow. Never allow failure to extend past 24 hours. Momentum isn't built by being perfect. It's built by refusing to allow small failures to expand into long ones. Step 7. Stack discomfort reps daily. Intentionally step into small, uncomfortable actions. Make the cold call. Initiate the hard conversation. Do one more rep. Each discomfort rep expands your control threshold. Discomfort becomes normal. Action becomes automatic. Why this system works permanently. You remove emotion as the deciding factor. Behavior becomes driven by systemized identity. The more you act, the less you negotiate. The less you negotiate, the faster your identity locks in as a finisher. Neuroplasticity strengthens these wiring loops. Each rep makes future reps easier. The brain optimizes toward proven pathways. The more loops you close, the more internal control dominates. Why 95% never cross the threshold? They confuse intellectual understanding with identity transformation. They think reading about motivation equals change. They wait for external signals to align before taking action. They binge content instead of collecting proof. High performers don't rely on motivation. They operate inside stable, self-reinforcing control systems. You've now seen the exact formula. Simple. Brutal. Permanent. Final core truth. Control kills anxiety. Most procrastination is disguised fear. You fear outcomes you think you can't control. When you realize your control lives in your next action, not the result, the fear dissolves. You act because you command the next move. Your permanent formula is this. Action, proof, identity, more action, accelerating proof, permanent identity shift. This loop replaces motivation forever. The self-help shift model. In one sentence. You don't fix procrastination by thinking. You fix it by taking ownership of the next controlled action.